Hello neighbor, this is Curt with eTrailer, and today we're going to take a look at the Pace Edwards JackRabbit Retractable Tonneau cover with Explorer rails, and we're going to see how it fits and how it installs on our 2025 Chevrolet Silverado 2500. Now a tonneau cover is a big benefit to any truck owner in my opinion. Not only does it cover and protect anything that you have in the truck bed, it also helps out with fuel economy. And a tonneau cover like this that's retractable offers a lot of benefits as well. First and foremost, the Silverado 2500 has a pretty high side rail. So getting a tonneau cover that is a folding, where you have these kind of bigger, sort of heavier as you fold it up portions to it, this is a little bit high up to manage that once you get back here to the cab. Not only that, when it's open all the way, you're blocking completely out your entire rear window. The other option is a soft tonneau cover, which is going to be something that rolls up pretty easily. It doesn't come that high up in your rear window, but the problem is a soft tonneau cover, while keeping the things in your bed dry, it doesn't necessarily help it from any thieves out there because they're frankly pretty easy to just cut into and then get into your truck bed. So a retractable tonneau cover like this is going to basically roll up into this canister up at the front. So it's going to be very, very easy to kind of keep organized and keep out of the way. Now this one in particular has a vinyl that is bonded to the aluminum cover itself. So while it has the look of a soft cover, which I really like, it's actually really solid and would be really, really difficult for any thieves to cut into. Now I had mentioned as well that this tonneau cover uses the Explorer rails. Now the Explorer rails are a heavy-duty rail that can accommodate through this T-slot ladder racks that have a much higher weight capacity. It's also going to be lockable, and you're going to get a set of keys with it as well. Opening the tonneau cover is easy. It does lock automatically when it comes all the way back to the tailgate for you. So just go ahead and lift up the dust cover on your lock, grab your key, and give it a turn, and turn it all the way until it clicks, and you'll be able to open it up. Now, as we open it, we can pull it closed just like this. You see these notches here along the side. At every 12 inches, there is a stop point that you could actually leave the tonneau cover half closed. So if you do have longer things in the bed, you can keep at least a portion of your items covered up. So with it opened all the way, you can see the canister that I was talking about. Everything rolls right up into that. Now the downside to this type of tonneau cover is that you do lose a little bit of bed space. And for reference, we have the Silverado 2500 with the 6 3/4 foot bed. So I'm going to take a measurement right now, and we're going to see just how much of that bed space is still usable with the open tonneau cover. And you're still going to end up with about 5.5 feet. I got 67 1/4 inches of bed space that's still usable. I'm also going to take a measurement here of just how much room you have underneath the cover. Underneath the cover, you're still going to have just a little over 20 inches, so it's still going to accommodate a lot of fifth wheel hitches as well. Now, installation is a fairly simple process, but it can take a lot of adjustment and a lot of patience as well. If you have a friend to help you out, that's great, but it is certainly something you could do on your own. But if after watching our installation, which I'll be showing you next, if you still think that this task is a little bit daunting for you, go ahead and use our dealer locator on our website. It'll help you find an installer near you that can help you get this tonneau cover onto your truck. Now stick around and I'll show you exactly how we got it installed. First thing you should do is, unbox everything, make sure you have all the proper parts. Next, go ahead and take your empty box, set it in your bed long ways just like this, and take your canister and set it on there. This is going to help prop it up so you can attach your rails It should put the top of the canister about 3 inches above the bed rails of your truck, and you also want to position it about a foot away from your bulkhead, just to give you some space. So first thing we'll do before putting on our rails is we're going to remove this protective backing right here off of our foam seals. It's just for packaging purposes, but since we're not doing a permanent install today, we're just going to go ahead and leave it on. And what we're going to do is use this open part of our channel right here. We're going to essentially use this lip, get it into this groove, and we're going to run our cover through this channel right here. So it could be a little bit tricky, especially how heavy these rails are, and we're really working with the one end. So we just got to make sure we can do this while maintaining control of the rail behind us, because again, it is a bit heavy. So as we bring it around, we're going to make sure it drops into that channel, just like that. And then we're going to turn it over like this and make sure that our cover is going in through that channel. Now, we can go ahead and run this all the way up. Once you know it's in position, you're going to see that it just sticks out about 1.5 inches or so, maybe 2 inches behind the front of our canister right here. We can also go underneath and make sure that the bolt hole is lined up, which is where we're going to be going next. So where I'm going to be going up through is going to be, you'll see this silver portion right here of our rail. The bolt hole is right there, and I do have it lined up with the rest of the bolt hole for the canister itself. So I'm going to take this screw right here, it's a silver screw. We're going to add the lock washer and the flat washer. And then I'm going to take the Phillips screwdriver and we're going to get that bolted into place. With both of our rails secured to the canister, next step is going to be to place our bulkhead seal on here. So right here along the bulkhead, what we're going to do is wipe it down really good, clean it really good, maybe use some alcohol to make sure that there's really no debris, no anything on there that's going to mess with the adhesive backing on this foam seal. Once that's done, we're going to go ahead and we're going to run this from our rail cap to our rail cap. And we don't want to get it to where it's actually curving over, but we do want to get it on the flat part as close to that as possible. So we're going to go ahead and lay that down, run it all the way across, and there will be some excess to it. So if you have a scissor or a knife to go ahead and cut off that excess, go ahead and do that. And once that's done, we'll move on to placing our rails down on the bed rails of our truck. Next thing I'm going to do is make sure that my rails are positioned on my bed rails. So this lip on the inside, I want to make sure it's just going to drop down perfectly in there. So since I got that good on both sides, I'm going to go ahead and lift the canister and I'm going to feed it up toward the bulkhead and get it off of that box. And once it's dropped in, I'm going to go ahead and slide it all the way up to the front. Now, go ahead and get out of the truck and close your tailgate. The end of your rail right here, we want to be about 1/16 away, of an inch rather, away from the tailgate. Likely, if you have it pushed all the way up to the cab, you're going to have more of like a 1/4 inch right there. So you can actually slide each rail back until it's about 1/16 of an inch away from your tailgate. Once it's in that position, it's time to get our clamps. So let's go ahead and move on to our brackets. Now there's going to be 2 different lengths. We'll have one with a shorter end here and one with a longer end here. This end is going to go up toward the cab on your rail. This end will be down towards your tailgate. Now, I just want to give you a visual of how this is going to go on. So this will be going on our driver's side, so it'll go on like this. This is going to slide into the T-slot up here in our rail. This portion here is going to slip over this piece onto the back of it, with this being positioned and wedged up inside the underneath of the rail. It shouldn't be really like this or anything. It should be more like this, right up into the corner and wedged there. Following that, we're going to have this bolt right here, And we're going to have this kind of cylinder nut right here. And this will go on, and where it's going to catch when we do tighten it up onto our rail is in this little area here. It'll nestle right in. Now, I wanted to show you this visually just because at the end of the day, this is what it'll look like. And it's going to be a little bit hard to see as we're doing it under here. So I wanted to give you a complete view of what that bracket will look like in the end. All right, so there's a break in the T-slot under your rail right here. And there's going to be two different lips here that we need to catch. So I'm going to start by catching this back lip and then bringing it forward, and I'm going to slide it all the way back until it meets up with this piece right here. After that, I'm going to put the back piece on and slide it over, making sure the top of it is nestled up in the corner, kind of pointed towards me. Okay, so with that in place, I'm going to add a lock washer and a flat washer. And I'm going to grab that cylinder block for the back. I'm going to go ahead and put this on through and attach that block onto the end of it. And before I get it too snug, I'm just going to make sure it's nestled into that little cavity in the back, like I showed you before. And then I'm just going to get it snug. I don't want to get it completely tight, but one thing I also want to do is I want to make sure that my rail is going to be flush up against. Now, it's important to note that when it comes to these knobs, there are two different lengths. And if you remember, our tailgate bracket is shorter than our cab bracket. So make sure that the longer one goes with the cab bracket and the shorter one here goes with your tailgate bracket. Now, the front clamp that we have here, remember it's the longer one, we're going to be inserting right here, and we're going to be sliding it forward toward the cab rather than back toward the tailgate. So the next step is going to be to install our kickstand. Now what the kickstand is going to do is brace against the sidewall of the truck, and it's going to prop up our rail to make sure that it's level. We're going to insert this right through here. Oh, but before I do, let me show you this. There are two different ways you can configure this. You can undo the bolt completely and switch it around. There's a long and a short configuration. So we have it in the longer configuration, mainly because we don't have a bed liner in here, so we've got a little bit more to reach to get to our sidewall. We can undo this bolt and flip it around to a shorter configuration if, depending on the lining and things that we have, we don't need all of that bolt to reach. But we're going to go ahead and insert it right through this portion here of our bracket. We're going to put on a flat washer, lock washer, and wing nut, and we're going to secure it in place. Now we don't want to tighten this down too much just yet. We want to be able to maneuver this. Now when it comes to the kickstand itself, we want to make sure that it's going flat up against the side. We don't want it in an angle like this where it could slip, and then, you know, it could really kind of mess up our tracks, and we won't be able to get our tonneau cover open and closed very smoothly. So in order to do that, with the way that this is here, we're actually going to have to prop it up kind of at this angle here. And if I turn this clockwise, it's going to go ahead and extend that foot out, and I'm going to keep checking on it before it gets too tight, just to make sure it's flush up against there. Now, it may be that you need to remove this rubber tip at the end just to get a little bit more out of it. So I'm going to go ahead and take that off. Make sure that I'm flush and secure there. And then I'm going to continue to extend that outward. Now, it's a good idea to get yourself a leveler at this point. So grab your leveler and just double check to make sure that your rail is going to be level. That's just going to help your tonneau cover open and close a lot more smoothly. And we could double check it against the rail itself too. But it's looking like we're pretty level at this point. So once you do have it level, go ahead and your clamp knobs that are holding the rail onto your bed rail, go ahead and get those tightened up completely at this point now. Now our next step is going to be to lubricate our rails and seals. What we have here is a lubrication packet that you're going to get with your tonneau cover in the parts, and we want to apply it to both sides of this seal up at the top, and we also want to apply it along this seal here on the bottom. Now it's going to be time to install your drain tubes. Now, a lot of truck models are going to come with a drain plug right in this area here on each side, both passenger and driver, where you can simply pop that out and you'll be able to run your drain tube. In the case of our model today, we don't have that, so what we would need to do is use a taper drill or a step drill, some kind of drill bit that's good for sheet metal. And we're going to need to drill in a 3/4 inch hole in order to fit our tube through. Now, one of the things you do want to be careful of is making sure you don't go too far through and get into your cab. We really just want to get it through the front of the bed. This might be something easier for you if you do it before installing the canister, but it is something that would need to be done on this model. And in order to install the drain tube, we've got this foam washer here. The connector here, there's a couple of little ears, I guess you could say, that you're going to need to pop this in and twist it around in order to get it to run. So its location is right here, and we can simply pop this in. Now you are going to have to compress it pretty good against that foam seal in order to get it to catch, but once you do, all you'll need to do is twist it, make sure it catches on both of those lips, and once that's done, go ahead and run your drain tube. So next we've got our hook and loop attachment for our strap. The reason we have this is we want to be able to keep the strap end close down here to the tailgate, but also out of the way so we don't accidentally load a bunch of things on top of it and then make a mess when it's time to close our cover. So this does have an adhesive backing, and my suggestion would be not necessarily to go all the way back here to where it's closest. I want to have enough slack in my strap to make sure that it's up and out of the way. So I might move it somewhere, right back here, somewhere that's still easy to reach, but has enough room that I can get the strap out of the way over the wheel well or something, and it won't interfere with my cargo. Now we're going to install our canister cover. That's going to pop into place right here all the way up by the cab. There are 2 different screw holes up here, and we just want to get those lined up with the holes in the canister, just like so. You will notice there's a bit of an overlap back here, and there's a nice piece of seal back here as well. That's going to double up with your bulkhead seal that got installed earlier, just to make sure that we're not getting any water in up here at all. So once I get this lined up on both sides, I'm going to go ahead and grab our Phillips and these black screws, and we're going to get those tightened down into place. And we're just going to make sure everything closes up nice and neat. So that's a look at the JackRabbit retractable tonneau cover with the Explorer rails. And if after watching this video you've still got some questions, or you've gone ahead and purchased it and installed it and been able to use it for a little while, go ahead and share those questions or experiences in the comments below. Sharing those with other neighbors just like you can help them make sure they're making the best decision for themselves. Once again, this is Curt with eTrailer. Thanks for stopping by.